Hello, biology students! Now we're going to talk about how water has special properties because of its structure and the fact that it's polar. Let's jump in and learn about those different properties. The first property of water is that it has a really cool pH. What is pH? pH is the measure of how acidic or basic a solution is, and this is the pH scale. The pH scale has acids from below 7 all the way down to the bottom, right? So the lower a pH, the more acidic something is. So for instance, lemon would have some very acidic, right? Base or basic is something above 7, right? All the way up to 14. So something like bleach, pretty basic. Neutral is what most water is, right? And that is right here, pH 7. So that cool thing that's special about water is that it's a neutral acid or base. It's not either, it's neutral. Very cool. What are the other properties of water other than pH? Well, the first one is water has cohesion. Brand new word. Cohesion means water sticks to more water molecules. Cohesion has the prefix co meaning together. Adhesion means water sticks to other things like glass. So this one's really hard for students to make sure they don't get confused. So we're going to practice this one in class. I like to remember adhesion means it's sticking to something else. I'm adding it to something else. Cohesion sounds like cooperate. Water is cooperating together. Right? Notice for both of them, it's because water hydrogen bonds to things. Water bonds to water, or water bonds to other things like glass, forming a meniscus in a graduated cylinder. So cohesion, right? That's water bonding to water. But what about this? Is this just cohesion? I see water droplets. Is that just cohesion? That's cohesion, but water's also sticking to something else in this picture. Oh, a spider web. So that must be adhesion, the fact that the water is sticking also to the spider web on top of forming these droplets that are giant, holding on to itself. So this shows both cohesion and adhesion. Next water property, high surface tension. Water molecules like to act like a stretched film over a surface. Water does this through the process of cohesion, grabbing onto other water molecules. But what's really cool, is it allows for very lightweight and wide things to be able to stand on top of water. This is a water strider bug doing this. Next one, capillary action. Water likes to move up very thin tubes. These tubes can be like the roots and stems of a plant, like this carnation that will become red over time. There are also thin tubes hiding microscopically in paper towels that will suck up water. Capillary action uses adhesion and cohesion to move up these thin tubes. We utilize this process when we also use a very thin tube called a needle to grab blood coming from veins. Water is able to climb up a very, very thin straw as well. Water also has the ability to moderate temperatures, meaning it does not change temperatures easily. So for instance, if I'm early in the summer when I go to a lake or a beach, the water is still super cold. It is not until late August or even later that water starts to heat up and get warm and nice. It's also why it takes a long time to boil water for pasta, because water is just so difficult to warm up. It likes to moderate temperatures. 6, evaporative cooling. Water carries heat with it when it evaporates. This is what helps organisms cool off. We learned this early in the year because we know when we get too hot, we sweat. That act of sweating uses evaporative cooling to rip water molecules away from each other, and energy or heat is used to break those bonds, hydrogen bonds between the water molecules, and it cools us down, which allows us to maintain homeostasis, maintain balance, in this case, temperature. Evaporative cooling helps us stay cool by allowing us to sweat and remove heat from our skin. Number 7, water expands when it freezes. Density is the amount of matter in a given volume, and ice is less dense than liquid water, which is just water that you drink. Ice is a solid, and since it's less dense, it actually will float. And this is really helpful because it allows organisms in the wintertime to live below the ice, and they survive. Even in the Arctic, things will never freeze all the way through. Last but not least, water is the universal solvent, meaning it is a liquid that dissolves many solid solutes. Solvent means liquid that dissolves solids like this sugar or salt, called a solute. All right? How much water are you made of? Over 70%. Our cells are also mostly water, and because of that, our cells and ourself, we use water to both get nutrients and get rid of waste. It's the universal solvent. Great job, guys. See you in class.